meant to do the intro thing. I'll get in trouble for that, Tony, won't I?
Hopefully not. You're human. To err is human, I think they say. Was that an honest mistake, Hamish?
It was an SFA honest mistake, one that our referees would be very proud of. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? We're at Tuesday morning. Just me and Tony on today, but we have loads to chat about. We're looking ahead to Dundee, Tony. I see the comments coming in already. And chat a bit more about Motherwell. There was an injury update from Brendan Rodgers yesterday, and numerous other things, I'm sure, as well. How are you getting on?
I'm very well. It's okay. Willie Collum will come out and explain what happened there in a briefing at some point, a podcast further down the line. I'm good, Hamish. All good. Yourself? You all well?
Yeah, can't complain. It's been a busy few weeks for me personally. Been up in Sydney for a bit and Brisbane for a bit, but back home in Melbourne now. So, well, don't know if I could call it home. Melbourne, guess home is Scotland, but I'm back in Melbourne and yeah, raring to go now. And big week, isn't it? Because I mean, tomorrow
Huge.
night's game will take care of itself, but after that, Aberdeen on Saturday, huge game. Leipzig on Wednesday, next Tuesday, actually, even bigger game, you would argue. And then Kelly away after that, which, as we found out recently, is a tough game.
We're into that wonderful cycle, Hamish, depending how you look at it as well, that it's kind of game preview, isn't it? A couple of games a week,
Love it.
hectic schedule. But you ask players prefer that as well to training and well, days build up. You know what it's like on this when you're previewing games for days and days on end. You know, you kind of think, oh, wow, that Aberdeen game, I mean, we previewed that to death, haven't we? You know,
Yeah.
during the international break. So it's just great that the games are coming thick and fast. Hectic schedule, but I love that. And you're involved in all competitions. Hopefully, you're still involved in the League Cup after Saturday. But you know, every game now, especially in the lead up to the festive period and then the festive period fixtures, I just think every game has real significance now. They really do.
Yeah. I just can't wait for it. Even tomorrow night, like, and tomorrow night isn't the headline fixture of the two that follow it, but just looking forward to seeing the team back at Celtic Park. I feel like we've not had many games at Celtic Park recently, and an opportunity just to see the team back in action. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, and I think that, as we touched on yesterday, Tony, the team is going to be interesting as well
Yeah.
because the manager's got a lot of decisions to make.
Yeah, he has. And I always say that, see the big games take care of themselves. These are the games where you win the league. You know, Wednesday night fixtures against Dundee, you know, Dingwall away, things like that. There's a Pittodrie away game, isn't there, coming up in early December too.
Yeah,
So you can't afford to just think it's Dundee. You've got a job to do, Hamish. You have to win football matches. And as everybody says, the most important one is the next one. So the next one's tomorrow night against Dundee. They've had great recent success against Dundee at Celtic Park. Everybody remembers that 7-1 game fondly. It'd be lovely to see another tremendous performance like that, because I think Celtic were 6-0 up at half time, weren't they? If memory
yeah,
serves. Somebody can correct me on that, but I'm sure it was 6-0 at half time. So, you know, but that counts for nothing. It's a different game altogether. It's a different challenge. And but no, I'm really looking forward to it as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how they attack it at home as well, because I get back to it in various parts of the Aberdeen game where Celtic spilled 2 points. They were still very good.
mm,
It was a game
yeah.
of clumps, you know. They were good at the start and got that 2-0 lead, fell out of it, and then came back really strongly. So, you know, I just want to see it strung together for a whole 90 minutes, and they were decent on Sunday against Motherwell. The semi final, as always, is there at the end of the week and or Saturday evening, and that will take care of itself. Really looking forward to that. But first things first, got to get a result against Dundee tomorrow. And the team, as you say, is paramount now, isn't it? Who does he choose?
Yeah. Gordon reckons if he was a manager, he'd go with the same 11 that started against Motherwell, give CCV and Calmac an extra few days' rest before the semi final. It's going to be interesting. We got an injury update from Brendan Rodgers yesterday. I'll just summarise it. So basically, Callum McGregor, the club are just waiting to hear back. I guess that would be on a. What's the word? what is the word when someone has that? It's not a test or something, is it? See, when it comes to medical stuff, I am completely hopeless. Someone will help me. The results of a test, is that what they're... I don't know.
They want a prognosis, don't they, basically?
Yeah. But they're waiting to hear back, and Rodgers says we think that is good news with him. Yeah. I think even if McGregor's kind of a lot better, I don't know if you start him tomorrow night anyway. No. I just think there's... I just think that midfield, I want to see McCowan playing again and possibly Engels coming back in. And I'm happy for McGregor to sit that out and then be back for Saturday. Scan. Sure. The word scan. Dear, oh dear.
Scan.
Oh.
Was that the word you were looking for, basically? A scan?
I'm honestly all over the place today. Dear, oh dear.
You okay, eh? You that sun getting to you, that summer sun, Australian sun getting to you? Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of with yourself, and I think it was Gordon Coney who put the first comment up about, I don't know so much if it's a similar team, but for me, I would rest Callum McGregor as well. No need to take any risk.
Yeah.
And Cameron Carter-Vickers too, if your intention is to play both of those men in the semi-final against Aberdeen. So I would give Cameron Carter-Vickers more minutes, like they did on Sunday. But yeah, I'm inclined not to take any unnecessary risk with Callum McGregor, and like you, Luke McCowan is the first name on my team sheet on Wednesday night, and per many too from the rest, isn't it? Arnie Engels, Hatate, Arnie Engels.
I think Engels will come back in.
Yeah, I think Engels will come back in, and it's between Hatate and Bernardo then, isn't it?
Bernardo, won't it? Because unless you play Engels in the McGregor role, maybe, and then you could have Hatate, but Hatate's not going to play in that deeper role. So if Engels is further forward, then it'll be Bernardo, you think, sitting. Bernardo, Engels, McCowan.
Possibly. That seems a kind of relatively straightforward shout, doesn't it? But you mentioned as well yesterday, weren't too enamoured with Bernardo's performance on Sunday.
I think he's not familiar with that position, and it looked like that.
Yeah. So
the same. Remember O'Reilly played in that role for a bit, and he had some games, but
he grew into
it. But at first, it looked like he didn't really know the position.
Yeah, correct. And you saw that, didn't you? He looked up. He struggled a bit, but he got there in the end with it and deputised very well. So yeah, it's big calls for the manager. I'm interested to see what he says about Adam Eder today as well. I want to know the prognosis on that and see. Hopefully, he's not out for any length of time and that it's he's okay, because I read somewhere that he's in a plastic boot. I don't know how true that is.
So Rodgers said Adam Eder was on the end of a poor challenge. We just have to wait and see. He's still got his foot in a boot.
Right, okay.
A moon boot, I think they call it at the moment, but we are hoping he has got away with that. So they're hoping he's got away with it. But obviously, if they're taking precautions, i.e., giving him one of these boots, then he's suffered some sort of ill effects from that time. So he would have to be a doubt for the game.
Yeah, but well, if you're in a moon boot, I think you'll be a doubt. Yeah, but sometimes it's an extra precaution, isn't it? So, because I would have liked to have seen Adam Eder start this game actually, but again, if there's any kind of issue, then you don't start him, do you? And Kyogo will start, I guess. That being the case, but I was looking forward to seeing Adam Eder start. So hopefully there's maybe some better news from Rodgers today, and he can confirm. Because if he says that Adam Eder's okay, then I'd be inclined to give him the nod ahead of Kyogo for this one. Just my own personal thoughts on that. But it's an intriguing team tomorrow, isn't it? Because he's got a lot of decisions to make ahead of Saturday.
Yeah, and Saturday's going to be a real test for us. Our biggest challengers, as someone just put it in the comments, it's hard to disagree with that at the moment. Carter-Vickers from Rodgers saying he came in and got some game time, which was good for him. He needs to build up that match fitness, which to me suggests that Carter-Vickers will play a part of the game tomorrow. He'll potentially start the game. I think he might start next to Trusty. I know that would be harsh on Scales, but also Scales has played every game so far this season. So in terms of tomorrow night on its own, it might be good actually to give Liam Scales a wee rest and see what Carter Vickers and Trusty have to offer. Because let's face it, that's the kind of partnership I think that the manager has in mind in the long term. I mean, Carter Vickers obviously plays if he's fit, and Trusty's one of our most expensive centre backs in our entire history. So be that harsh on Scales. Scales is going to have a part to play regardless. It's Liam Scales isn't going anywhere. But I'd like to see Carter Vickers and Trusty tomorrow, personally.
Well, I think it's intriguing, isn't it? That I think lots of people want to see Carter Vickers and Trusty to see how they form a partnership. And I think if that's the manager's thinking that maybe rotate Scales, so be it. But again, I'm just not for taking unnecessary risks. Scales has been very good this season, and him and Trusty, are yellow jersey stuff, as I say. They're in possession of the shirt just now. But from Rodgers' comments there, you're kind of deducing that he's going to feature at some point. If not, give him an hour or so in order to build him up for Saturday. So I think that's the two scenarios there, isn't it? If Cameron Carter Vickers comes back in, then it's permanently 1 from 2. Then from Trusty and Scales, you're saying that you'd like to see him paired with Trusty. I think a lot of people would like to see him paired with Trusty because they've seen him with Scales. So that might be an option for him. And that might be something that he'll want to try out just in case, for PQ, because to see what it's like, you think off the top of your head, don't you? But I think a lot of Celtic supporters are intrigued by that, what those two will be like at the back of the pack, the two Americans. So it might be the ideal time, not say experiment tomorrow, but to sort of put the two of them out there and see what happens.
Yeah. And the other thing, I guess, is the fact that Liam Scales played at left back on Sunday, and that's obviously got people talking. Could Liam Scales be the answer to our potential left back issues, conceding a lot of goals? Big Dom saying interesting that Taylor didn't get a game on Sunday, when Vai came off. I'm just wondering how many subs have been made at that stage. I know there's still like 3 subs left at that stage.
But I think he was saying that Greg Taylor wasn't
fit enough to be on the bench, but not fit enough to come on. I don't think Liam Scales at left back is. I think that was just a match situation thing. I don't really think that's something we're going to see going forward. I think Liam Scales is a centre back now, isn't he? I mean, he's been a centre back for at least 3 seasons. So
I wouldn't have thought that. And he's not going to go to a back 3, is he?
No.
He's just not going to do that. I think he just did that on Sunday just to see the game out and to accommodate Cameron Carter Vickers. But they were quite comfortable. I never felt that at any stage Motherwell were going to get back into the game. So I think he was perfectly happy with that and content to do that. So tomorrow is it's going to play havoc with my predicted 11s because it's all about up in the air, isn't it? But I'll need to see what the manager says today, and he's usually good value and he usually signposts and tells you. So we shall see what comes off today. But no, looking forward to tomorrow night. It's another one of those games where you just can't wait to watch the team in action. To be honest, they've had a good week. Want a better week now. 10 days, whatever you want to call it, because as you say, they go from Dundee to Aberdeen to RB Leipzig. But first challenge, Dundee, focus on that.
Yeah, Brian reckons Taylor will be back in the team tomorrow night. Interesting to see if that's the case. I don't know if I want to read this out. James saying he's currently listening on a sun lounger in Turkey. Sorry, James. Strange choice. We'll take it as a compliment that you're still wanting to hear our dulcet tones while enjoying a bit of sun.
Enjoy, James. I hope you're having a good holiday. Lucky for some, Hamish.
I know. Big Dom, yes, I covered that one. Charlie saying far harder game on Saturday. We need to be keeping an eye on that. Yeah. But also, you can't take anything for granted, as you say, Tony. We dropped points in these kind of games last season, and I just think the thing with Celtic is you always have to be on your game because tomorrow's a big game. I know Dundee maybe aren't having the best season, but last year it was weird because they had such a good season last year, but they didn't really challenge us in any game. Maybe the
Yeah.
last one, I think, finished 2-1, was a little bit nervy at the end when we were going for the title, but generally they're a well organised team with some good players, so we'll need to be at it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Celtic are in a position to be able to take anybody as a given or a gimme, as they say. So you've got to be at it, and fine well what happens when they're not at it.
Yeah.
So they can lose their way, as they saw in that spell against Aberdeen. So we're still that kind of work in progress under Rodgers, but when they get it right and they connect, they get it right. And so I think everybody kind of trusts them to get it right tomorrow. But Tony Docherty's shown with Dundee that he's a very good manager and a very able and shrewd coach. So the chances are that Dundee, as you say, will come and play. They won't park the bus, one would conjecture, because he's just not that kind of manager. And that's where you hope Celtic can, if they're going to go toe-to-toe as much as Dundee can, that Celtic's quality will take over in the end, and it should be that they should be able to win the football match. But no, you just got to respect every opponent, Hamish. You have to, even though the form book and the bookies' odds will be overwhelmingly in Celtic's favour. But these are the games where, conversely, where you think, yep, 3 points in the bag stuff. I never ever think of that. But these are the ones that can trip you up as well.
I think we've got a squad now that can deal with these injuries, and it's the point Seamus is making. We can afford to rest players now with the squad looking very strong, the strongest in a long time. And I agree with that totally. And to be honest, it's something I wasn't particularly aware of until earlier today when someone else pointed it out. And you think back to this time last year, and there was the players who were getting game time were not of the level of the players that are getting game time at the moment. And I felt like last year we had our injury issues. Alistair Johnson missed near the start of the season. Carter Vickers likewise. Hatate missed a big portion of the season. Callum McGregor missed that period near the end. And I felt when those guys went out of the team, even at domestic level, it was very noticeable because the players that were coming in weren't of the desired level. Guys like Lager Bielka and Lopsky and Yang and Home, even in the first half of the season. When these guys were coming in, you noticed a drop-off. And I think this season, that drop-off hasn't been as obvious. I think this season, you've got like Luke McCowan's, for me, in the Home role. He's probably getting the game time this season that Home would have last season. And McCowan is miles ahead of Odin Home in terms of the impact he's having on games. And it now appears like we have 3 pretty good centre-backs. Early days with Trusty, but certainly it seems that we're a lot stronger there than last season when Naropsky, who's obviously still at the club, and Lager Bielka were getting a lot of game time when injuries were coming up. And left back, I think Vai is an upgrade on Bernabe. I think Ida's an upgrade on O. We've got like Lewis Palmer was playing a lot last season, and he doesn't really play anymore. Palmer, he certainly doesn't start. We don't really see much of Yang, so I mean, it's hardly a great revelation what I'm telling you, but the squad is a hell of a lot stronger than last season, and I think Brendan Rodgers deserves credit for that, and I think the recruitment team do as well. There's still bits of the squad I think could do with some work. I still think we're light if we get a couple of injuries in midfield, wings potentially, but I think generally we're in a much better place than we were.
Oh, very much so. And I think he was asked that question on Sunday. Is that he did a lot of late business and to improve the squad and to get that healthy competition for places and strength and depth. And he was asked, "Is this kind of when you see it come to fruition?" Because Callum McGregor was withdrawn from the team because he was injured. Luke McCowan slotted in. He was able to rest Arne Engels or rotate Arne Engels, and Cameron Carter-Vickers was out the squad, but Trusty has come in, so he was saying, yeah, very much so. And that is what you're seeing now, that it's not, you don't look at it now as when key players get injured, you don't think, oh no, you're sort of saying, right, well, such and such can replace him. You know, when McGregor was not on the team sheet on Sunday, my first thoughts were great chance for McCowan. It wasn't, oh no, and then my initial thought after that was the manager will tell us what's happened there. I just thought he'd been rested and rotated. The manager felt that maybe Luke McCowan deserved a start. So when I heard it was an injury, I was like, okay. But then when he spoke, it didn't strike me as being something that was going to keep him out for weeks, like it did at the end of the season. And Callum McGregor admitted himself he played through the pain barrier to come back because he wanted to be part of it. So you just feel pretty confident in that squad of players that whoever's rotated in and out, that they'll do a job. And like you, I think there's a couple of gaps there that need plugged in terms of personnel, but I'm pretty happy with everything, the way it's ticking along at the minute and the players that we have at our disposal and the manager has at his disposal. But I would still like a couple more in January. No, to be sure, as they say.
I think you'd want another winger in January because I still think we're there. Rodgers, I don't think fancies Palmer. I don't think he fancies Yang. I know Palmer's getting some game time off the bench, but that's just because Dies and Maida can't play every minute, and there's not many other options there really. So I'd happily see Palmer and Yang probably moved on in January. I think we might see that. Certainly, I think Palmer, Yang, we might have more hope for in terms of. I think he's possibly a wee bit younger and maybe a loan move for Yang. Personally, I actually don't think Yang has it to play for Celtic, but you never know. But I think signing a winger or two wingers possibly, because that's the one thing we didn't do in the summer there. A few other positions as well, but I think generally we're all right. I want to chat about Luke McCowan again for a wee bit, because Gordon's putting him in for the next Scotland squad that will be announced probably in a week's time or so, because hate to break the news, everyone, but we're approaching another international break. We've still got, I think, 4 games to go before then, thankfully, as Tony departs. But yeah, Gordon, I agree totally with that. And I was actually just a minute ago looking up the Scotland squad from the last international break, the midfielders, and I mean, Ryan Gould was in there, and I know he's doing quite well. The one that springs out, Connor Barron, was in the squad. I'm not sure if he was called up initially or if he came in through an injury, but the fact that Connor Barron was in the squad, to me, clearly Luke McCowan's a better player and is playing for a better team, performing at a higher level. And I would certainly have Luke McCowan in the Scotland squad when we come up to the next thing. Whether he does or not, I know Steve Clarke can be quite stubborn with these things, but yeah, Luke McCowan for me with his form would definitely be in there.
Well, I spoke to Dave Mackay when Luke McCowan signed for Celtic, and he told me it wouldn't be too long before he'd be in the Scotland squad.
Yeah.
And he was his assistant manager at Dundee, and he said, trust me. And he said, trust me, he'll make an impact and he will eventually become a first-team regular. Can you hear that? It's just honest to God. And I was like, no, as an early statement, I thought it was a bit, that's driving me wild. Give me a second.
Derek's calling you. Derek's calling you Tony Dessers.
Hey.
I'm just going to let it be silent. I want to hear Tony shouting at his dogs.
Honest to goodness. Seriously, and they're quiet right up until...
That later than usual today.
I know. It really annoys me. What can you do? Honest to goodness. But yeah, and I was quite surprised that Mackay said that straight off the bat. But he watched enough of them, so I took his word for it. And nothing that McCowan's done since he signed for Celtic has led me to believe that he won't play for Scotland. Sorry, Hamish. Sorry, people.
They're quite all right. Because I wanted to chat a bit about Luke McCowan as well, because you would have been at his press conference just after the game on Sunday, and that's on our YouTube channel, by the way. So once you're done here, you can check that out. I would definitely recommend it. I think, roughly 10 minutes, Luke McCowan answering questions. Really quite good with the media. I think he's got a bit of a different style. He kind of just talks, and I think he talks to the media like he would talk to his teammates. Whereas how most players would have like a phone voice, you would call it, and most players would have their phone voice for media briefings. McCowan's got that style of like he just kind of just talks like he's down the pub to the media, and you actually end up with some really good answers. I think he gives really good insight into things, sometimes maybe without even realising he's doing it. But the thing that comes across from watching him is he's clearly a very good person, going to be, and is a very good person to have in the changing room. He's a kind of cheeky wee chappy, isn't he? And we've all come across these people in life, and the kind of folk that always have something to say. I don't think he'll ever be quiet when he goes in the morning. He'll always be winding someone up or pranking someone or, telling a joke or whatever. But the kind of person you need in that changing room. And I thought it was interesting he said that he's had to hold back slightly as well coming into Celtic because he's obviously taken a bit of a step up. He described it as a promotion, which I thought, again, what a brilliant way to put it. You never really think about it that way, but he described it as going from Dundee to Celtic is like a promotion that anyone will have had in any job, and you get it because you've done well in your previous role, and you go to your new role and you're happy for a bit, you celebrate when you get it, but then you're back down to working hard, and that's exactly what he's doing. And I think another question he was asked, what was his reaction to starting, finding out he was going to be starting his first game against Motherwell, and he was quite calm about it and just said, I've not won the lottery. I think he said I'm doing it because I'm playing well and working hard, which again is a great attitude. So I wasn't expecting to really enjoy his press conferences, but I am. I think he's great.
Hamish, he's a professional footballer. He's basically telling everybody, right, enough of this, boyhood heroes, dream stuff. I'm a footballer. That's what I do for a living. I've not just somebody's not just. I'm not just a lottery winner that's turned up and got lucky. I've done the hard yards here, and I'm now beginning to find my voice amongst guys who I walked in. I gave them instant respect. I saw the lie of the land. And now he's saying, right, I'm going to start speaking now. It's time for me to, to find my speaking voice and to find my range and my feet at this football club. Because everybody's loving the Luke McCowan that first time he walked out at Celtic. Oh, wow, and all that, great. But he's so measured with it and he's so down to earth. He's so self-deprecatory as well. I wrote a piece about it yesterday for the Herald and said that he's just one of life's cracking wee guys. You could listen to him all day because he does speak like he's speaking to you and me here. He doesn't take questions from the press as if it's some kind of hardship or sees it as a necessary evil. He's just like, yeah, well, and then he let you into his mindset by saying he's got a mindset coach.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Matt O'Reilly said he used one last season. Matt O'Reilly let everybody know. And then Luke McCowan said, I used him at Dundee and then I signed for Celtic and I thought, I'm going to keep using you because it's a different situation now and I'll need you. And then when he was asked the kind of conversations, he said, well, it's just the kind of conversations you'd have with your dad or your uncle, but on a more serious tone to it. So I thought that was really interesting too. And then I asked him if he was a shouter and a baller because he was talking about he's been quite quiet since he entered the dressing room, and he said, the guys in Dundee will tell you I'm a shouter and a baller. And I said, so is that the kind of conversations you would have with your mindset coach that you now need to find your voice at Celtic? And he went, yeah. He says, that's the kind of things we'll talk about, and talk about handling when he's not playing in the team despite doing well, and then handling being promoted into the first team because he has done well and handling all of that. And that clip about how do you handle it all, and he went, I just stay in the house. You know, it's just sharp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't go out. I don't get any bother type thing. You know, I'm very level-headed. My feet are on the ground. I know I'm playing for Celtic, but leave me be. I just now want to get on with the job of playing for Celtic. And I admire that. And it was a brilliant 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it was. Let you give you a wonderful insight into what makes them tick. And as I say, everybody just wants them to succeed and do well.
Yeah. No, I really like him, and I think we all agree he should be in the team tomorrow night, and we'll see more of him. And then, as Ryan pointed out yesterday, he can't play against Aberdeen, but I think going into these big games, he's going to be in the discussion, because certainly, as we said yesterday, certainly for me, he's the form midfielder at the moment. I think he's been great so far. Anything else, Tony, or go ahead?
Okay, if Adam Ida's passed fit by Rodgers today, is he up front for you, or does Kyogo start for you?
Kyogo. Kyogo just based on... Ida started on... No, he didn't. Sorry, Kyogo started on Sunday. I think ideally Ida would start for me, but I don't think he's going. I think Rodgers is going to say that Ida isn't fit for Wednesday. And I guess Dyson Maeda would become our kind of backup forward, because we don't really have anyone else.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's just... I was just interested to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, for me, Luke McCowan is first name on the team sheet, and I would agree that Ali Engels probably comes back in too.
Yeah.
And Hatate or Bernardo. We shall see. But yeah, my apologies for my dogs. I can't control that. I don't know what, something spooked them. So it's
right.
I hate when that happens. You know, it is the nature of live TV, and you have 5 rescue dogs, you know. So, but I know, I just hope it doesn't spoil people's enjoyment, because I don't like that. So, you know,
I think it probably added to people's enjoyment, to be honest. I think people were
very rarely do I have to leave the seat to say to them, you know. But you know, you can't control that. But so apologies if it's a noise or it's come through very loudly. But as I say, I try my best to keep them quiet. But sometimes c'est non possible, as they say. But yeah, Tony McCann, it enhances it. I'm sure it does. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep, we'll head for now then, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, looking ahead to the game. Ryan will be back at that stage.
Ryan will be back tomorrow, yeah.
I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. Brendan Rodgers will speak to the media later today. You got a time, Tony?
Yes, it's the player will be at 1 o'clock and Brendan Rodgers at 1:30. So we'll find out everything related to Celtic and see who they put up for today. But yeah, all being well, we'll hear from Brendan Rodgers from 1:30 onwards.
Fabulous. Right, we'll head off. Everyone, thanks once again for tuning in and watching us on your Tuesday morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Remember, we're still looking for subscribers. I know I say this every day. It costs absolutely nothing. I think more than half of you watching, generally speaking, aren't actually subscribed. So very easy to do. You can just hover next to our name and click subscribe. Costs nothing. Means a hell of a lot to us. We will return tomorrow. Speak to you all then.